Richard Deal, and I am honored to be here with the mastermind of BMW racing in the 70s, Mr. Udo Giedel. We've been working on this project together for probably 3 years, maybe?
Yeah, it's going on 3 years.
It's going on 3 years.
Yeah.
So behind us is the rolling chassis. Udo's been spending about a little over a year working on the motor. So what we'd like to do is point out some of the particulars, some of the things that Udo did back in the day, and his team. Let's not forget Todd Schuster, and what he did to the bike to make it very special. You built 3 bikes for the 76 racing season. One was for...
Right. One was Pridmore, right, and one was Gary Fisher and Steve McLaughlin.
Right. And then we're building this bike, or rebuilding this bike, to be the end of that 76 season.
Right.
To the latest spec at the end of 76. So,
which means the roller cam motor.
Which means
and
the roller cam
motor is essential because it brought reliability, because to push a motor with flat tappets is usually very problematic.
And with all the things that you did to the motor, which we can discuss in a little bit, you brought the RPM range up to 10.5?
Well, that was in the 750. On this, it was 9.2.
Okay. Going to the chassis for a second. You did a lot of really incredible things to the chassis.
Obviously, it's the development for my street bike, which was built in 1975.
Right.
So the thing is, I was very interested in the new concept of a short stroke monoshock.
Okay.
And the ideal shock, as you have here and in my bike and all the bikes had was a Formula One shock.
So starting from the back, what were the modifications that you made?
Okay. All the design work on the bike, chassis and engine and transmission, all that was sort of my contribution. And what is so different and what was so shocking at that time, that we would start off with a competitive motorcycle, and we accomplished that. The one thing is to improve the handling and be able to use slick tires, and that puts an enormous amount of loading on the chassis when you go to slick tires. So the thing is, the answer for me was, since I had my prototype, to basically meet the AMA rules, and that's why you have this brace in there to accommodate the shock absorber or the suspension, and also to provide additional chassis rigidity. The monoshock is simply an addition where you go from normally where you would have a twin shock to the monoshock, and designing that and then fabricating it is what was needed to make the motorcycle not twist in the back.
So on the swing arm, the swing arm, different than the swing arm on your street bike, the swing arm on the street bike, Todd made, correct? Out of round tubing?
It's round tubing.
And you decided to make this out of hollow square tubing.
Right. For one thing is to accommodate the rear tire.
Right.
The rear wheel. It was necessary to use square tubing. And it worked.
So this whole monoshock unit is totally unique to only this bike and to...
the 3 bikes. The 3 super bikes, they're the only ones with this
But
configuration.
McLaughlin didn't run the monoshock at Daytona. He wanted the twin shocks.
No. It was Reggie.
Oh, Reggie. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
It was Reggie who wanted the twin shocks, because I think he was convinced by one of the members on the team to use a conventional rear setup.
Okay, because he was afraid of
it was concerned about a possible protest.
Okay, understood. Okay.
And so, the mounts were there. He was British. He wanted his girling shocks. Forget his girling shocks.
Good. He made happy.
So he was a happy camper.
So the swing arm is beautiful, and again, on this bike, we validated this was the swing arm. This is the chassis of the day. That's the swing arm you used. Let's talk about the shock.
Okay, the
So,
shock.
so on the we have the monoshock. You also had to modify the swing arm for more clearance.
Well, the swing arm, we needed more clearance for the larger tire because we started out with a WM5 rim, and you can see on the bike it's a much larger tire
Yeah.
than a normal street bike.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of space between the drive shaft and the tubing there, and so by cutting out a piece and welding in a section of steel, it accommodates a larger tire
Okay.
with a larger rim. The same with the front. The front is a much larger rim, but there's no issue on that as far as space goes.
Okay. Now the shock is pretty unique.
The shock
How did
is-
you find the shock? How did you determine?
Well, the thing is, I knew the coordinator for racing activity that also worked for Coney. And I discussed with him what I wanted to do with this bike, the street bike, and he accommodated me, and he provided 5 of these shocks. So that there's 5 of these units, and the proof is that every motorcycle today you buy has this.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
So Udo, let's talk about the motor mounts.
Because the front wheel on a road race bike is very much in need for having good traction. By moving the weight forward, by placing the motor further forward, you can see on the transmission an extension had to be made to accommodate the motor being relocated further forward.
To take up the extra space of the motor being moved forward.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
and that allowed more weight on the front and kept the bike from, because these motors are very torquey, they have a tendency to lift the front end. And when you lift the front end, it becomes, you can't steer the motorcycle. So the thing is, it was important to balance the motorcycle, and that was accomplished. Now, on the front end, in order to accommodate the 18-inch wheel and also to provide more rigidity to fork, we had to redesign the top fork yoke. And these were made by Amo Precision, my drawing, my design. And also something that came is we added a brace right across here on the bottom. And that's also to help the motor in its stability. So this was added, this was reduced, and obviously a more modern front wheel. In addition, we added to the motor bolts onto here, the top of the motor, to provide any kind of flexing in the up and down where the motor becomes part of the structural frame. So there's a lot of things which unfortunately added weight to it, but the thing is, the BMW being the lightest motorcycle on the racetrack to begin with, we could afford to meet, and the requirement at that time was we could go down to 380 pounds. These motorcycles weighed about 385. Also, these braces to help with the support of the fork, because BMW uses at that time a relatively small axle. If you notice that nowadays everybody has these large tubular axles, these things they were a little bit on the weak side to deal with the load of the side load that you're going to get with this kind of big tire. Now this motorcycle in Daytona went 145 miles an hour, and which of course today that's not very much, but it was good enough to win the race and to win the championship. And so I went to, because I had on my bike, I had Lockheed brakes. And so I opted to mount the same thing, same design, same everything. Again, keep in mind, all this happened end of 75 until end of 76. So all this development had to be done in a very, very short time.
Right. Udo, so tell me some of the things you did to the motor.
Okay, some of the things is obviously make the motor narrower, and that is basically for ground clearance more than anything else. The motor is considerably narrower if you take a look at a standard BMW motor like this one right there. So right there is a standard engine. It's quite a bit, gives you more lean angle. And so also the pistons in there are made by Venolia, and what this has, it actually has the original piston and cylinders. Clearance is good. Color on the top of the piston is good, so I used them.
Nice.
Okay, the heads have the intake slightly angled, and also BMW comes with needle bearings. I had nothing but needle bearing failures, so we went to bushings. Bushings seem to work fine. So that's a reliability thing. Also, I use these end thrust bearings to cut down some of the friction. So that's another change. Also, I use titanium plate, and the lower plate is also titanium. Okay, the spring I still had some from Chase, from Crane Cam, and I have a tester, and I tested springs that will meet this camshaft. Normally the valves are custom made; they're a little bit longer, but these are stainless steel, but they're standard length, which is okay, but you have to use a lash cap in order to get the correct geometry for the rocker arm. So that's all been done. What is unique about this motor, it is a roller cam instead of a flat tappet. And this allows additional cylinder filling, and it gives it a tremendous amount of torque. The bike has a huge amount of torque compared to a production bike.
So the roller cam came from the F750, and that was birthed from a recommendation from Dick O'Brien at Harley, right?
Right. During the when we showed up in Daytona, I became known to Harley Davidson's Brian.
This was in '70, right?
Yes, this is 70. Brian says, you need to come up to Milwaukee. I'll show you our race shop. So I went to Milwaukee after Daytona. And he showed me what they do. They take the lifters, remove the hydraulics, because Harley's all hydraulic. Remove the hydraulics and make them smaller. The camshaft at that time was made by Crane Cam. Now Crane Cam doesn't exist anymore, so we went to Jim Doerr in California, who owns Megacycle, and he was kind enough to make us a few cams.
And he did an incredible job.
He did it. I mean, it's in there.
Yeah.
It's in there. It's in there, and it turns, and the timing is good. What more could you possibly want? So the thing is, the roller cam adds a lot to the motor. On this breeder, I switched to a McCullough two-stroke reed valve. Guess what? When BMW saw it on my bike, they went into production on it.
And then what about the ignition?
Okay, the ignition is Krober, which I've been really, really fond.
And you always liked those?
I always liked them. I mean, I used them since the first bike, 71.
Yeah.
And so all the Formula bikes had the Krober ignition. And I thought it was, you don't need a battery. You just push it and it goes.
And then when they ran, when the rules changed, saying you had to have a rear light that worked, you guys just put like a 9-volt battery in the rear light?
Yes.
You didn't run
right.
a battery.
But it was only in Daytona that we needed it, because they wanted to That was part of the inspection. You had to pass the noise level, and you had to pass a tail light and a headlight needed to be operative.
So you just put
and also a charging system.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, the charging system had to be there. And so in Daytona, we actually had to run the generator.
Okay. But everywhere else you didn't?
Corber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but because they were uncertain about the rules. You know,
Yeah.
what they want to do. So it was a constant evolution.
Okay.
And so I had this how this motor came about, and it's a decent motor.
This has been a great journey with you. This is the second project we've worked on together.
So
We did the F750
Yep.
together,
yeah,
and then now this bike.
yeah,
And it's been a lot of fun. I know you do an incredible job. You're very diligent, and I know you're very concerned about doing as good or better job than you did back in the day. You want to make everything accurate. I want to get everything accurate and as per the recreate the things that we had to recreate to make this identical.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you enough. I'm looking forward to finishing this thing with you. And
I think
it's been a pleasure. It's been a good time.
I think it's an interesting project because you're not buying a race bike.
No.
You're buying a street bike conversion.
Well, this is a piece of history.
And the thing is, the success is without a question. I mean, in one season, the worst finish was a second.
Yeah. Like I said, the F750 and this, it's been amazing because we are resurrecting pieces of history.
I mean, my education was electronics.
Yeah.
And one day, I just flipped over.
Well, this is more fun.
Well, I mean, this was a big challenge, and it was obviously it changes your life.